Good afternoon, grade 10. For today, for our subject in computer, we will have two remaining discussions for our third quarter. And the first one would be other basic controls. So the first term that we should be mindful of is the word list box. When we're talking about list box, it is a control that allows you or allows the user to see a display of different items that has different purposes. The following are the main properties of a list box: the appearance, the columns, index, list count, list index, selected index, multi-select, and sorted. Now, and that is for list box. We will now proceed to combo box. When we're talking about combo box, it is somehow similar with list box, except that it has edit controls on top, which allows the user to type a choice in the list. So there are three kinds or three types or three styles of a combo box. First is the simple combo box. It displays the list box and the edit control showing the current selection. Drop down combo box. It displays the edit control without the list box. And the third one is the drop down list, which operates similar to drop down except that the edit control is static with the current selection. So those are the three styles of combo box. The next one would be spinner control. When we're talking about spinner control, it allows the user to choose from a range of numeric values by spinning to the values and clicking the up or down on the spinner, or by typing a value into the spinner box. That is for spinner control. And these are the common properties of spinner control. Be mindful. First is increment. When we're talking about increment, it indicates the incrementation value of the spinner. Next, maximum. It indicates the maximum size of the spinner. And value, it is the method that declares the value of the spinner. Now that we are done in our first topic for today, we will now proceed to the second one and the last one also, which is web application development. The first term that we should be mindful in this lesson is HTML. So what is HTML? HTML is the acronym for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is defined as a markup or tag language that is used to create web pages. It is a foundation technology that is used to create web pages and applications. So the keyword here for HTML, aside from the real name itself, is it is a markup or tag language. Aside from that, it is being used to create web pages and applications. So that is for HTML. HTML is somehow being used before until now, but there is a latest version of HTML that we called HTML5. So HTML5 is the latest version that was released last 2014 or 2014. So the latest, again class, the latest version of HTML is HTML5, or others called it HTML version 5. So what are the features of HTML5? First, it is now straightforward. Additional elements are used to describe a content. It can create quite complex and powerful web applications, and it introduces native audio and video playback to web pages. So the HTML5, it helps the creation of web pages and applications to make it more complicated, or to make it more beautiful, or to add features that is not present to the previous web pages and applications that is created by older versions of HTML. Now that we have discussed that HTML is an application that is being used by programmers to create web pages and applications, we will now focus on what is a web page. When we're talking about web page, it is a digital document that is accessible through the internet using a web browser. So web page, it is something, it is a digital document, or it could be it could be a site or a place that is only accessible to a web browser. It is usually written in HTML and can be accessed by URL address. A web page also normally contains text, graphics, sound, videos, and hyperlinks to other web pages and files. So that is the definition of a web page. So what you can do to a web page? Why do we need, or why people are using web pages? So there are different purposes, or there are different ways on how we can make use web page efficiently. First is to promote your business. There are other types of businesses that uses web pages, or they create web pages of their business to have a wider reach of audience. Second purpose is promote yourself. When we're talking about promote yourself, you are using, or you are selling you're you're selling yourself in a business way. For example, you are if you are familiar with sites that emphasizes, or its content is more on you are selling your skills like Upskill, JobStreet, Upwork, and etc. Those are websites that caters the skills of employees or individuals as they're selling product, or it is the product that they sell, their own skills. And there are also instances where people promote themselves in a different way, but we will not tackle that part. Next is review a product, like if you're aware with Shopee, Lazada, Amazon, there are different kinds of website or web pages that is purely about reviewing a specific product, regardless of what product is that. Next is to gain more knowledge. Knowledge, for example, Wikipedia, WikiHow, and other sites that is focused on giving information, or you can get information on a specific topic. So those are the four purposes of a web page, or what are the things that a web page could do. Now, we will now proceed to CSS properties. When we're talking about CSS properties, these are this is a type, or this is a characteristic that can specify the details of a tag or an HTML. So you could customize a web page using CSS properties. CSS properties is divided into 5. First is background, second is text, third font, fourth border, and fifth is list properties. There are different kinds of commands under this type of properties. Let's go first to background properties. When we're talking, so the first command here is background color. In background color, we are setting the background color of the page. Second is background image. In background image, you are setting an image as the background. Background attachment, you are setting whether that specific background or background image is fixed or scrolls with the rest of the page. Background position, you are setting that specific background, if that specific background will be found on the starting position or at the start of the loading or the usage of a specific web page. Next is background repeat, if the specific background image will be repeated every time that you are using or accessing that specific web page. Our next category of CSS property is text property. The first command here is color. When we're talking about color, you are setting the color of the text. Next is letter spacing. You are decreasing or increasing the space between the characters. So if you want the word or the text to be in normal spacing, or you want to be narrow, or it is too tight or too wide to each, or there is a large space between letters or characters. Next is text align. Text align is the alignment of text in an element. Next is text decoration. You're adding decoration to the text. Next is text indent. You're indenting the first line of the text in a specific element. Next is text transform. You're controlling the letters in an element. So we could see that to certain, for example, they control or manipulate the word to fit on a specific shape. So that is an example of text transform. Font family, you are setting the list of font family names and or generic family names. You are using you are setting a default family of fonts. So that is for font family. Next is font size. You are setting the size of the font. So as you can see, majority of the terms here in CSS properties is somehow self-explanatory, or it does not need to think more deeply because the purpose of that specific command is suggested in the name itself. Font style, it sets the style of the font, and the font weight, it sets the weight of the font. Now we will now proceed to border properties. Border properties, the first command here is border color. It sets the color of the four borders from 1 to 4 colors, while border style, you are setting the style of the four borders to from 1 to 4 styles. Next is border width. So border width, it is more concerned on the width or the thickness of a specific border. So that is for border properties. And I assume this is the last one, the list properties. List properties, the first one is list style image. List style image is a command that sets an image as the list item marker. The second one is the list style position that places the list item marker in the list. And the list style type, it sets the type of the list item marker. And those are for the list properties. And that is the end of our presentation. So that is the end. And if you have questions regarding on our topic for today, you may send me a message, or you could do whatsoever that you can do just to reach me out. And aside from that, we will have a quiz if it is possible. We will have a quiz tomorrow, Friday. That's all, and we will see each other next time. Bye.